Hey, everybody, this is Bobby Cool, Daddy Slick Breeze. This is another Team Dynamic Discs player interview. This will be our second one. If you haven't listened to our first one, it's with A. Ray out of Texas. Make sure you go back a few episodes if you missed that particular episode. This is Jared Neal. He's out of Alabama, and he's actually on a drive home. When I called him, thankfully he was a passenger. He wasn't actually doing the driving, but he was on his way home from a tournament he had just played. He said it was his fourth tournament weekend, and so he's been playing a lot of tournaments lately, and we catch up with him and ask him a few questions and stuff like that. But before we get into the interview, real quick, guys, I want to mention we have our Disc Golf Answer Man section at the Dynamic Disc store. It would mean the world to me if you were to pick up a Disc Golf Answer Man t-shirt. I love seeing those photos of you guys with the DGAM t-shirts on. And if you could we also have some Disc Golf Answer Man stamped discs or Dymax. I'm going to work on see if I can get some of the newer molds out there so you guys can enjoy some new molds with some Disc Golf Answer Man stamped discs. That is awesome to see you guys pick those up. Also, we continue to add new music to the Disc Golf Answer Man Jam, the DGAM Jam, out on Spotify. So check out that playlist. So, all right, let's jump into the interview with Jared Neal. All right, Jared Neal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Sun is shining. It's not too cold, so I can't complain too much.
Cool. Now we talked real briefly before we started recording. You're actually traveling back home from a tournament. Is that correct?
Yeah. City of Mobile Championships A-tier tournament down in Mobile, Alabama. It's literally the opposite side of the state for me.
Oh, wow. And so just for our listeners, just to know, you're calling us as you're driving back. So if there's some wonky stuff with the cell phone service, we'll kind of try to work around that. How did the competition go out there, though?
And competition went great. Ran really smooth. They put a lot of good work into the tournament. They had to. The only unfortunate thing is we had some weather that rolled in yesterday, so they had to cancel the final 9.
Oh, no.
But other than that, we were able to finish up all 3 rounds and only had about a 45-minute lightning delay yesterday.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm glad everybody was okay, though, right? No incidents with the weather?
No, they were able to blow the horn, but we did have one real close strike that everybody was like, okay, time to run.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, cool. So I was looking over your team page on dynamicdisc.com, and as we were talking, your hometown is Alabama, and your home course is the University of Alabama. Describe that course for us, and how do you like to play it?
Yeah, so actually, University of Alabama in Huntsville, sister school to the big UA that everybody knows about. But it is a mix. It's more of a wide open type course.
Okay.
We have longer holes. We have a few shorter holes. We got some water hazards, some woods in the back, a real nice long tunnel shot that's just over probably 630 through the woods. Really makes you throw a nice control shot.
Nice.
But I definitely say that, this course has helped attribute to my distance. The course was moved from the location I started at probably a couple years after I started playing.
Uh-huh.
So it really pushed me through further because I was like, I want to get these long holes. I want to get the 500s.
Yeah.
I want to try to push the 600s. I want to get all the 400s and lower than that.
Right.
So I love it.
Excellent. So let's kind of go back, though, a little bit and back to how you started playing disc golf. Tell us kind of the quick story of how you discovered disc golf, and were you hooked at first, or did it take a while for you to get going with disc golf?
Oh, no, I was hooked at first.
Okay.
That probably summer of 2003, my dad just randomly decided to take me and my older brother, let's go play disc golf. So we went down to the store, bought a couple just base plastic discs, and went out to the current location at UAH, and ever since then I've just been hooked. And the funny thing is, it's like my mom and my dad actually knew about disc golf like back when they were in college.
Oh, wow.
So this was years after they actually knew about the sport that I was introduced into it, and I've been playing ever since.
Excellent. Do you remember starting out with like a lot of discs, or was there just a few discs you started out with? How did your game progress?
Oh man. I used to spend grass cutting money to buy new discs. Uh, I've cut yards and go down to the store and purchase a new disc every now and then. Um, so I started off with two, just like I said, space plastic DX discs,
Yeah.
and just kind of grew from there. I remember the first candy plastic disc I got, I was like, oh man, I'm moving up in the world now. Look at this.
That's awesome. So I was looking at the PDGA page, and according to that, it looks like around 2009 you really started competing. So about 6 years before you played your first tournament, or is that just the first PDGA?
So yeah, in 2009, I signed up for PDGA, went ahead and got all my membership and everything.
Yeah.
I want to say the first tournament or so I played was either a year or two before then, but it was I would say unsanctioned. I
Okay.
think it was just fundraiser stuff. I
Yeah.
think it was a doubles fundraiser tournament.
What made you want to join the PDGA and actually get into some sanctioned event? What was the motivation behind that?
I think just being hooked on the sport and just wanting to play tournaments, just actually competing. I remember starting off first tournaments I played in juniors because I really didn't know what I was doing, and hit a point where I was like, nah, I think I'm a little too old. And that was before I knew all about like junior worlds and all these big amateur level tournaments like
Yeah.
Bowling Green and everything.
Mhm.
So that's the one thing I could kind of kick myself for not playing those while I was still playing amateur. But went from junior straight into like intermediate, and played until I won something, and then tried to move up, trying to push myself to get better and better.
Yeah, I saw that in I think it was 2012 was your first tournament that you played in Open. So you advanced, and it took you about 3 years to finally. What made you decide to try out the Open division?
I think a lot of it was just based off of local competition. I felt like I could play up to that level.
Mm-hmm.
My consistency wasn't as great, but I felt like I had skill sets. So my casual rounds, I was able to go out and perform really well. It was just switching over to that tournament mindset,
Yeah.
making sure I did good in tournaments. And about that time, let's see, started playing collegiate actually in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And about that point, around 2012, I was like, yeah, I should be up here in the open division. It's just feeling like consistency was coming back together, and just trying to push my game further and further.
Any specific lessons that you learned when you first started playing in the Open division? Anything that you like really stood out to you as far as going up to the Open division?
You don't have to make every single putt when you're starting off.
Okay.
So getting frustrated at 70, 80 footers, missing stuff like that is not going to do you any good.
Yeah.
I mean, that comes through practice and repetition. But, more or less just keeping your cool and keeping level headed, because so many players I knew, and so many times I personally, before when I was younger, just like kind of not losing it, but definitely like beat my own self up because I missed a shot or I missed a putt. Uh, Once transitioning kind of out of that, I was definitely starting to able to put more shots together or make up for the one bad hole that I had. And that's probably the big thing. I would say once you start going into it, don't expect to get or do everything.
Yeah.
Really work on your composure throughout the rounds. Because if you can keep it together, you're going to shoot a lot better than just having the roller coaster.
So walk us through that. So let's say you're out there, you're playing a big competition, and you do miss that putt that's probably right within your confidence zone or confidence ring. Some people play it. Can you walk us through what are the steps you go through your mind to say to get through to the next hole?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I have to do first is just kind of shake it and just tell myself that, that's one putt, and I'm just going to make the rest of them. I'm
Yeah.
going to make all my circle putts. I practice those. Those are the ones I'm going to make. It's outside the circle and I don't happen to make it, not to get as upset about those. But just especially going into the next hole, like it's a brand new hole. Whatever happened on the last hole happened. It's done. You can't do anything about it. So just play it hole by hole. Like a lot of times, I may keep up with my own score in my head, um, But sometimes through the round, I like to play it hole by hole, so
Yeah.
I'm not like getting ahead of myself or I'm not beating myself up too much. So every time I step onto the tee pad, it's a brand new hole,
You
and just kind
mentioned,
of separate those.
yeah, and you said something about keeping score in your head and stuff like that. I was listening to another interview from some other place. I can't remember, but they mentioned that they're not competing with other players. They're more competing with themselves. Is that kind of how a mindset you follow as well?
That is true. I can sit here and compare myself to the other people on my card the whole time, but in reality, I know what I can do. Like, I know my skill sets, I know my skill levels, I know which drives I should be hitting consistently. So it really does kind of revert down to playing against myself in the course. Um, I've played with a lot of really great players, and if they're just lighting it up, man, they're better players.
Yeah.
I can't really say that, hey, I'm doing any worse, but if I'm hitting my drives and hitting my putts, then I feel very good about that. If I'm playing against, say, Ricky Wysocki or Paul McBeth, and they come down 7 strokes less than I do, they're probably hitting all their stuff. But if I come in 7 strokes behind them and feel very confident with my round, then that's going to set me up for the next round. That's going to set me up for the next hole that I play, the next round that I play. It's that confidence booster.
I got you. Excuse me. Sorry. So I was looking at your bio page, and you mentioned that one of your most memorable moments was winning the USDGC performance flights the first time there while celebrating my birthday on the trip. Walk us through how that felt.
Yeah. So earlier that year, we ran a tournament in Birmingham, Alabama, for the representative slot for Alabama, and I thought that would be a really fun tournament to go play. I just thought that would be a great opportunity, and I showed up to the tournament and just absolutely killed it and got that spot, and just like was over the moon, just excited. So I went through everything, all my signups, everything, and got that on the calendar. And it just so happened it fell right near our fall break in college, so I didn't really have to take off time from classes. So it was like perfect timing. Um, so myself and a very good friend, Levon Wolf, we headed up to Rock Hill, and uh, just the nervousness on that first tee shot. After I got up past that first tee shot, it felt comfortable. I just played good disc golf. Um, Celebrated my birthday when I was up there. My birthday was like right before the tournament officially started. Um, and just that whole experience of just being up there and meeting these great players and just hanging out with them the whole time. Uh, just being there with Levon because he knows everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And and just being able to just interact and have other players like come up and be like, hey man, how'd you shoot? And what score'd you get? And I was very fortunate. I actually started after that first round. I started in first and held it the whole time.
Nice.
And that was definitely a huge moment. Putting that final putt in the basket. I was so tired. I played for like 9 days straight.
Oh my gosh.
Between practice and tournament time.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was ready to go sleep.
I bet. Now you said with practice time, how often do you get to go to an event early enough to get practice in?
Well, right now I work full time, so it really depends on what size event. Like for Mobile, we head down Thursday evening and spent all day Friday just practicing. So a lot of times, if I get a full day of practice, um, for like maybe a 2 or 3 day tournament, I feel all right. But a longer tournament, I want to at least try to get maybe a couple solid days, get all the course looks, go back, see if I missed anything. Just try to feel confident with the shots.
Now,
a lot of
ahead.
times not too much advanced.
Yeah. So when you do practice, what does that look like? Are you throwing several shots? Are you just playing a casual round and getting that's your practice, or how do you, or even if it's not for a tournament, even if you just got a free weekend, what does your practice look like?
Oh, if it's for a tournament, I want to go out and play the holes and throw several shots.
Yeah.
And really see which shot's working for me. I love throwing hyzers, so if I have a hyzer line, I'm probably going to throw the hyzer. But really, and also I like to try to play with some people that are a little bit more local, so I can see what lines a lot of the locals play. So if I'm going out of town, because a lot of times they may say, oh well, this is the perfect line. You throw this line, it's going to park it every single time. So I'll try that out a few times. As far as casual rounds, my friends and I, we have our own separate little bag tags we compete for. So we'll still be competing in our little casual rounds, or we might take a day, like a Saturday, and just go play a new course somewhere within a couple hours, just to get different shots that we're used to.
Nice. Now, I've always find that interesting whenever I went out and filmed players and the players that travel a lot, and then all of a sudden they'll see someone throw a line and like you said, they'll say, oh, local route, and it's like a line that you never even thought of. How do you, when you see that line, they always say play your game. And so I'm thinking you're out there practicing and all of a sudden you see this new line. Do you typically shift your game and go that local route, or how does that work for you?
I think that goes down to confidence.
Yeah.
If it's a shot I feel confident with, I may shift to that local route. But if it's anything outside of my confidence, then it's probably like I'll keep that in mind, but I'm still going to throw this other way.
Gotcha. Are there any challenges that you're working on right now with your disc golf game to improve? What are you working to improve on?
I'm always working on my putting. Always working on my putting. I recently just added just one little extra thing into my putting, so really just trying to get that consistency down with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some good results, so I'm really excited about it moving forward. I'm a spin putter, so just the smallest little change could be a matter of hitting the basket or accidentally flying past it. So
yeah, have you always been a spin putter?
I have. I've tried other things. I tried push putting. I tried putting, everything. But I just always revert back to the spin putt. I've always felt confident with the spin putt.
Now, was it like one of those things? As soon as someone handed you a putter and you went to putt, you just automatically put a spin on it, or was there someone that influenced you to do the spin putting?
It felt pretty natural.
Okay.
To do a spin motion, kind of a partial arm snap versus kind of a lift like a push putt.
Do you feel that gives you any advantage in certain types of conditions having a spin putt?
Yes, I feel like it's an advantage in the wind, and it's an advantage in low ceilings.
Oh, really? Why do you say that?
Yes. Actually, I had a perfect example this past weekend. I was under a tree, and I had a pretty low ceiling. So a lot of my spin putts are pretty just like a straight line. There's not too much arc in them. So I was actually down on a knee putting and was able to just spin putt kind of a lifting putt just straight into the chains.
Nice.
From probably about 30 out or so.
Mm-hmm.
But if I definitely feel like if I had any different style of putting, I probably would have just had to lay up because of the ceiling.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Earlier you mentioned you work a full-time job. Tell us what you do. What do you do when you're not disc golfing?
Right now, I'm a graphic designer at a print company.
Oh, cool.
So just client-based work, whatever walks through the door, whoever calls me from their company. Work one-on-one and try to get the customer what they need.
Now, like at your desk or your office or whatever, are you consumed with disc golf? Do people wonder why this guy has all this disc golf around his office?
The guys I work with and people that own it definitely know I'm disc golf because I'm always like, I'll take a day here or something to go play. I'm always talking about my weekend tournaments. I wear a lot of DD stuff at work because I have a lot of DD stuff. So it's fun every now and then talking to different clients, and they'll mention something. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to a disc golf tournament this weekend. They're like, oh, disc golf, really? I'm like, yep, been playing for 14, 15 years. and it almost everyone I talk to has some sort of connection to disc golf.
Yeah.
It's almost more rare for me to not find somebody who hasn't at least like seen a basket on a course or something.
That's crazy. Now, how do you work in? Because a lot of times we'll get questions from people say, I work a full-time job. I have a family. I have this. How do you work in time to get to practice and get to play?
Well, right now with daylight savings, I got a little bit extra time after work.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm liking that too. Yeah. I noticed that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The only crazy part was the switch right in the middle of the tournament. So we lost an hour between this second and third round.
That's crazy.
But with the longer daylight, that definitely gives me more time to go after work. If I'm really feeling diligent, I can drive down the street to one of the local courses during my lunch break, spend a little bit of time, and then play quite a bit on the weekends.
Excellent. Again, back to your team page, you said that your favorite disc is the Dynamic Discs Enforcer. Now, I'm sure you filled out that team page quite a bit ago. Is the Enforcer still one of your favorite discs?
The Enforcer is still a favorite disc. I have to admit, I'm only carrying one at the moment.
Okay.
But over the last couple tournaments, I've really been looking at how I can add some of my others back into my bag.
Gotcha.
Because I like the overstable consistency. And for power shots and power drives, crush hyzers, I mean, I can trust it. I don't have to worry about it flipping up or flipping over. I like the new Defender a whole lot, but I definitely know that Enforcer is going to have a little harder pull, unless I'm throwing those silver sparkle ones. Those are crazy me hooks.
Nice. Now, taking a look at your bag, are you the kind of player that has a lot of different molds, or do you have just a handful of molds, but in different stages of being a worn in or beat in?
I actually go back and forth.
Okay.
A lot of my drivers right now are the same mold. Pretty much Defender, Enforcer, and Criminal.
Okay.
And I'm really liking the Explorer, working that in a lot. But as far as, I throw a lot of putters. So actually I throw probably more molds of putters.
Really?
Because each one does something a little bit different. And my mid-range game is pretty simple. I carry 3 molds. One mainly for like flip hyzer turnovers, one for straight to low lever stable, and then a Justice.
Nice.
So,
what are the putters that you mostly throw?
Wardens, Marshalls, Slammers. The Seric has worked its way kind of in there recently.
Use that for a nice straight shot?
Yeah. Just I'm still working on my first Lucid Warden from back in like 2014. So it's dead straight, but it has just a little right tilt to it. Okay. So it's really workable in the woods. So if I'm a little bit out of that situation, I need just either a tiny little left or just want to hold it a little bit straighter. That's when I'm pulling the Seric out.
Okay. Now, why do you think it I noticed that a lot with some of the pros that they, like you do, you say you have a lot of putters for your drives or for throwing, not just for putting. Why do you choose to use putters for that type of shots?
I feel like I get a little bit extra control, probably because the disc is just a little slower.
Okay.
The glide, I like the glide on them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But probably just that extra like control that I get from the lower speed. I have a lot of. That's why I feel like I don't carry as many fairways versus mid ranges because I feel like I have a lot of overlap.
Okay.
My putters, I'm throwing my putters a pretty good distance, so I'll throw them in the 300s up to like 350.
Okay.
Anything over that, I'm starting to look at maybe a mid range or a fairway, depending on the shot. But I don't know. It's just been over the past few years. If I can throw a putter, I'll throw a putter.
I gotcha. Yeah. Do you play any other sports besides disc golf, or have you ever played in sports besides disc golf?
Yeah, I played a lot of sports growing up, actually. Played soccer, baseball, basketball. Right now, I currently play disc golf and soccer. Um, I did a little bit of rowing in college. Um, Played about a year of soccer in college. Played disc golf. Played some ultimate. About to play some kickball.
Wow, yeah, you're very active. Wow, that's good.
Quite a few sports. If I just love sports.
Do you do anything? Okay, so we talk about practicing, getting out and actually playing disc golf and doing purposefully practicing disc golf. But is there anything else that you do that you think helps your disc golf game?
Yeah, I've started riding my mountain bike quite a bit.
Okay.
Um, I feel like it helps with some of my conditioning
Yeah.
and just really helping to keep my legs strong. So when I'm doing big throws or your standstills or something, I have a really solid base to work on. Um, Besides that, just a lot of my other sports. Try to do a little bit of workout stuff here and there. Um, Mainly just try to keep as active as possible. That way, my muscles are already always kind of working themselves, not too stagnant.
Yeah, that's probably yeah. I think I mean that's been kind of a topic I see different people talking about it as it seems the sport is progressing. That physical conditioning and getting yourself conditioned outside of just playing rounds every weekend seems to be very important to some people's success.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know I put a lot of like torque on my knees and my lower back.
Yeah,
So anything I can do to help strengthen those outside of the sport, because I'm putting all the work on them while I'm playing.
yeah.
So when I'm not playing, I really need to be trying to look at stuff to either strengthen them or keep stretched, so they're not my muscles aren't pulling on those areas.
Yeah, I was talking to Seth Muncie of Disc Golf Strong. Are you familiar with Disc Golf Strong?
I am.
Yeah, he was. We were talking in Arizona one night, and he brought up something that was really interesting. Made a lot of sense that you know sports. It's good to get out and be active. It's good to get out and play disc golf and play other sports. But what people don't realize is that they're literally when you play, you're tearing up your body. Because he gets a lot of people that say, I've been, I didn't do anything, much of anything, and disc golf has gotten me healthier, and I'm out playing every weekend, and I'm playing 4 or 5 times a week, and I love getting out and being active. And then they're wondering why, 3 months down the road, they have all kinds of aches and pains, and their back hurts, their arm hurts, and Seth was saying that you don't realize that yes, you're being out there being active, but you're tearing up your body, so you have to do other things to help your body recoup. And I think a lot of people are starting to really discover that that's an important part of their disc golf game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because I mean, how many other things in your normal walk of life do you do that much body rotation?
Right.
I mean, like every time you step up to throw, you're doing either sidearm body rotation or like backhand body rotation. So I mean, you have a lot of movement on your back there, and I can't really think of anything in my daily normal average life that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm always rotating, doing sitting in my desk chair,
Right.
playing on the computer.
Yeah, exactly. So what's something that you maybe recently or a lesson that you learned playing an open or whatever that you wish you could go back and tell yourself when you first started playing disc golf?
I think it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. Through playing soccer over the years and everything, we had a set part of the year that was like conditioning season. We did a lot of conditioning, we did a lot of strength training. Um, and when I started working full time, I wasn't doing that as much. So if I had to go back and tell myself, I'd say continue doing the exact same things you're doing with conditioning, with strength training, so that you don't reach a point where, oh, my back's starting to hurt or, oh, my knees are hurting. Um, because you're continually trying to get your body, keeping your body strong. Um, so that's what I'd say for me personally. I know that I've had a lull in some of my conditioning between college era and kind of current. So I just tell myself, keep with that because my disc golf game is just being developed through repetition, through practice. Little things here and there as the feel of the disc in my hand changes a little bit every year. So I feel like those kind of come gradually, but definitely like keeping your body strong and conditioned and well maintained so that when you do play those 5-6 hour rounds at a big tournament, because you may be waiting every hole, it doesn't weigh on you as heavy. I remember my first 6.5 hour round. It was almost dark when we were finishing up. We were playing a 27-hole layout up in Nashville, and just like being so tired at the end of that. At that time, I wasn't as tired as I would be now because I was a little bit better shape.
Yeah.
But just being on your feet for that long, having minimal sitting, and then, playing those shots throughout that whole time, you don't keep your body strong. That really weighs really heavy on you.
Yeah, I think some people, when they go play casual rounds, you're out having a good time, you're playing, just having fun. You don't realize that when you're in competition, that the stress, the mental part of competition, actually can wear you out. So, you're working on that second day, that third round. It's going to really weigh on you, and if you're not prepared, it's going to affect your game for sure.
Yeah, and all the highs and lows of the round. I mean, it may get your blood pumping, may get your adrenaline up, but once that wears off, I mean, it's going to start. You're going to start crashing. Yeah. So,
yeah, and that Snickers bar is going to give you maybe 30 minutes of energy, but you're going to crash hard if that's what you're snacking on to get you through the round.
Oh, shoot. I love Snickers bars.
Uh-oh. I would have to mention that one, huh?
Oh, no, that's actually kind of funny because, I've tried to keep a little bit of a balance. So if I do need some quick energy, maybe a candy bar.
Yeah.
But if I want actually like good energy, maybe some like trail mix or some good snacks.
Yeah, you need something that gives you that low, prolonged energy, not that super high energy that's going to go away and then have a crash for you.
Right, the sugar rush.
Yeah, so I was recently, in fact, it was interesting because while I was preparing for this interview, I was also uploading some videos, and I noticed all of a sudden your name was in the 2018 Frostbite Open coverage, and then I saw, of course, that you took first place in MPO. Am I correct in what I saw?
That's correct.
Yeah, so tell us about that. First, tell us, kind of walk us through a little bit the rounds there and how you ended up in first place.
So that was my first time playing the Tumbletree course in Opelika, Alabama. I kind of went into the first round probably half blind because I only got through about half the course before we started. And I guess that just kind of reverted me back to like throwing the shots I feel confident with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't have the fortunate time this time to take some time out and to come down a day early. I was more limited on my time. So my first round, I definitely saw some, kind of kinks in the chain that I knew I could work out in the second round. Hit a couple little snags, took a couple bogeys over what I wanted to, but when the second round came out, definitely playing, there was great competition there, and just playing with guys who push you to make a better shot over and over and over again. If you turn around and somebody hits a 50-footer, then, I mean, I feel like I need to turn around and hit my 50-footer, never slacking off. So second round, we went into it, and I was 3 strokes back off the lead, actually tied for 4th place, because there was a tie at first, a solo in 3rd, and then I was in like a 3-way tie for 4th, I believe. And just being able to keep composure through that round, and the second half just hitting a lot of the birdies that I really needed to get, capitalizing on some of the mistakes that I made the first round, and then really kind of feeding off of the competition amongst our own card. And I was actually able to jump the 3 guys in front of me and win by 2 over another player who jumped into second from second card.
Oh, wow.
So we definitely had some great golf and some crazy stuff going on that day.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, even though the title said Frostbite Open, I was wondering if I needed sunscreen by that second round because it warmed up pretty,
really?
hot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I always thought it was interesting to see at tournaments when you have the lead card, but you have people on the second card that are still close, and you're watching the lead card and you see how that story plays out, and then toward the end you realize, oh gosh, someone from the second card literally jumped up and took second, first, or third place. I always think that's interesting to watch.
Oh yeah, I've actually had a couple tournaments personally where I've jumped from second card and won.
Wow.
So that definitely shows you, like, doesn't matter where you're sitting in the tournament. Just don't ever give up.
And play your game. You can't. I mean, you just gotta. You gotta play your game. You don't know. You never know when someone is something's gonna get to somebody else, or someone's gonna make mistakes, or they're not gonna be on their game. So you always got to be on your game for sure.
Right. And the individual that jumped into second place, we both tied for the hot round that round.
Oh wow!
So
you both are having.
I already had the 2 strokes on him.
Yeah.
And so we basically just both moved up the ladder. And it was amazing to watch, and just to be a part of. And the course is beautiful. I would definitely recommend it. Tumbletree in Opelika, Alabama, if you're ever near that area. Fun little course. But I had a great time, and that kind of fueled coming down here to Mobile, just playing another tournament. This is my 4th tournament weekend in a row, so I think it's about time for a rest.
Yeah, sounds like it. I did have a question, though, about, just from my perspective, I noticed a lot of, Jomez and Central Coast are doing the big tournaments, but I noticed a lot more places are doing these more local tournaments that, getting on YouTube and do coverage. What was it like being filmed, being on the lead card and being filmed?
Yeah, so my good friends Andy and Taylor, who do So Blue production, they've been filming a lot here in the area, and they've actually filmed. I've been on their coverage several times now, and they're just a blast to be there. They're always the good thing about them, and like Jomez and Central Coast, the big guys, is they're very aware of not being obtrusive to the players. So it's like they're there, but at the same time, they're not in your way. So it's almost like just another person following around.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a spectator. It does add some pressure, because you're thinking, oh, well, if I miss this putt, I'm going to watch myself miss this putt later and every single time after that.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's cool to be able to go back and look at your round and say, okay, I made one mistake there. How can I practice to make that better?
Yeah.
So in my case, I'm like, okay, I missed the putt. How many more hours of putting and tweaking do I need to do so I don't miss that putt again?
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me something that's not disc golf related. Tell me something that you're obsessed with right now.
Wow. I just started longboarding recently.
Oh, really?
I kind of got into that over the past couple months. I made a board, and I'm working on my second one. So it's fun just to go and cruise. It's not super high activity, I would say, as far as like exerting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun I live up the street from a greenway, so it's fun just to go down and cruise around, just take in the nature scenes and just enjoy the weather.
Now, when I think of longboarding, I think of those guys that have the rocks or something in their hands, so that when they're sliding down the hills or when they're rolling down the hills, they can put their hands down to kind of drift and stuff. Do you do any of that?
I have not gotten to that point yet.
Do you think you'll get to that point?
Oh man, who knows? The hill going down to the greenway, because I literally live like on top of the street that goes down to it. It's a pretty big hill, and I'll like ride down the first part of the road till it starts sloping, and then get off and like walk down to a point where like I know I can handle, and then kind of ride down.
Well, hopefully I never see you in any epic fail videos of longboarding, because there are plenty of epic fail videos that have some people longboarding in. So,
oh, that's for sure. No, I like to actually kind of go at night. I've got some really bright LED wheels, so like I don't have to worry about other people. I just cruise around, and it's quiet and peaceful.
That's cool. All right. Well, Jared, thank you so much for being on the show. It was cool getting to know a little bit more about you. Where can people, if they want to follow your disc golf journey, where can they do that at?
Right now I'm trying to ramp up my Instagram.
Okay.
So it is Disc Tance Monster.
Disc. Spell that out. Disc Tance.
DISC TANCE _
Oh, I got it now. Disc Dance Monster. Okay, Monster.
Disc Tance Monster.
Okay, I'll put that in the description so people can follow that if they'd like.
Yeah, so just trying to add more disc golf photos, little videos here and there.
Very
trying
cool.
to ramp that up.
Absolutely. Something that I've only done. You're my second interview as far as team members, but it's something that I always want to do because I want to get feedback from our listeners, but I want it to be feedback that you want. So, what is a question that you'd like to have our listeners, or what would you like to ask of our listeners? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be disc golf related. Of course, keep it PG. But any question you want, and then hopefully we'll get some response and feedback from our listeners, and maybe you can start a conversation with them when I post it in the Disc Golf Answer Man group. So what's a question you'd like to ask our listeners?
I would like to know what everybody's favorite type of food between tournament rounds is.
Favorite food? That's a good one.
Because there's always those restaurants you try to avoid between rounds, but after the tournament, it's perfectly fine.
Right. No, I get that. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't like to have that something heavy in their stomach before they go play their second round. All right, Jared. Well, again, thank you so much for the interview. I'm going to let you, hopefully, how much more of a drive do you have to get home?
Wait, what are we sitting at? Probably 4 hours? Probably about 4 more hours.
4 more hours. Woo. All right. Well, stay awake while you drive home to Alabama.
Luckily, I'm passenger. So
you're passenger right now. Okay, good. I should have asked that before we started to make sure we were all safe. But it's good to know that everybody's safe. So, all right, Jared. Well, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, Bobby. Talk to you later, man.
All right, bye.
Bye.